Sylvester Stallone is more than a movie star. His name has become shorthand for perseverance itself. For generations, audiences have associated him with grit, resilience, and the belief that no matter how hard life hits, standing back up is always possible. Through characters like Rocky Balboa and John Rambo, Stallone brought to life the quiet strength of people who refuse to surrender. Yet behind those iconic roles stands a man whose real journey was far more difficult than anything written in a script. His life unfolded through rejection, hardship, and moments of deep uncertainty, long before fame ever arrived. What makes Stallone's story extraordinary is not just his success, but the path he took to reach it. Every achievement was earned through persistence rather than privilege. His rise serves as a reminder that true strength is not born from comfort, but from enduring struggle with courage, patience, and an unshakable belief in oneself. A challenging beginning, Sylvester. Stallone's life began with obstacles few could imagine overcoming. Born on July 6, 1946, medical complications during delivery caused permanent nerve damage, leaving part of his face partially paralyzed and his speech affected. From the very start, he stood out in a way that invited misunderstanding and judgment. Growing up, these physical differences became sources of ridicule rather than compassion. His family life offered little refuge as instability and emotional distance shaped his early years. Stallone often felt unseen, misunderstood, and left to navigate his challenges alone. School became a place of struggle, where teachers misread his behavior and classmates mocked his appearance. Yet even in those early moments of hardship, something quietly formed within him, a resilience that refused to disappear. Though the world seemed determined to define him by limitation, Stallone began learning, instinctively, how to push forward despite feeling unwelcome. Learning to stand alone. As Stallone moved through adolescence, instability followed him. He was transferred between multiple schools, often labeled as difficult rather than understood. Authority figures saw defiance where there was frustration, and punishment replaced guidance. By his mid-teens, his mother sent him to a boarding school in Switzerland, hoping distance might create discipline. Instead, the isolation intensified his sense of being alone in the world. Far from home, culture, and familiarity, Stallone struggled emotionally, wrestling with loneliness and self-doubt. Yet it was during this time that he began discovering his inner voice. He turned inward, reflecting on who he was and who he wanted to become. Despite moments of despair, he refused to surrender to hopelessness. When he eventually returned to the United States, he carried with him a growing awareness that his future would not be handed to him. It would have to be built piece by piece through determination, choosing a dream others rejected. Upon returning to America, Stallone made a bold decision. He would pursue acting, despite being told repeatedly that he did not fit the mold. His speech, appearance, and background placed him far outside Hollywood's narrow expectations. New York City in the late 1960s was unforgiving, especially to dreamers with no safety net. Stallone lived hand to mouth, working whatever jobs he could find, including cleaning animal enclosures and taking odd labor roles just to survive. Nights were often spent without shelter, benches replacing beds, uncertainty replacing comfort. Rejection became routine, Casting officers dismissed him before he could finish speaking. Yet even in the harshest moments, Stallone refused to abandon his dream. His persistence was not loud or dramatic. It was quiet and stubborn. He believed that effort, repeated enough times, could eventually carve opportunity out of rejection. Recognition and validation. The success of Rocky exceeded all expectations. The film earned global acclaim, resonating across cultures and generations. It went on to win the Academy Award for Best Picture and earned Stallone nominations for Best Actor and Best Screenplay, a rare achievement. For someone who had once been dismissed as incapable, the recognition carried profound meaning. Yet Stallone remained grounded, understanding that success was not an end point, but a responsibility. He had been given a platform, and he intended to use it wisely. The story of Rocky was no longer just his own. It belonged to everyone who had ever felt overlooked or underestimated. Stallone's rise symbolized hope, proving that persistence can transform adversity into opportunity. His journey became living proof that believing in one's voice, even when it shakes, can eventually be heard by the world. Expanding the Rocky legacy, with success came opportunity, and Stallone continued exploring Rocky's journey through sequels that reflected different stages of life. Each installment expanded the character's emotional depth, portraying growth, setbacks, and renewal. Rocky II emphasized perseverance after success, while Rocky III explored humility and self-awareness. Rocky IV mirrored global tensions of its era, while remaining rooted in personal resolve. These films were more than entertainment. They became cultural touchstones. Stallone ensured that Rocky remained human, flawed, and relatable. Rather than relying solely on spectacle, the stories focused on inner battles, fear, pride, doubt, and resilience. Through Rocky, Stallone demonstrated that strength is not about dominance, but endurance. Audiences continued to connect because the character evolved alongside them. The franchise became a reflection of life's ongoing challenges, reminding viewers that growth requires adaptation, courage, and the willingness to face oneself honestly. Introducing a different kind of hero. In 1982, Stallone introduced another iconic character, John Rambo. Unlike Rocky's hopeful optimism, Rambo represented the unseen scars carried by those struggling to reintegrate into society. The original film focused less on action and more on emotional isolation, trauma, and misunderstanding. Stallone approached the role with sensitivity, portraying vulnerability beneath physical strength. The character resonated because it addressed themes often overlooked: displacement, survival, and the search for belonging. Rambo's journey highlighted that strength sometimes appears in silence rather than bravado. While later films expanded into spectacle, the heart of the character remained rooted in resilience. Stallone's portrayal reminded audiences that pain does not always look the same, and healing is rarely simple. By bringing complexity to action cinema, he broadened the genre's emotional range, proving that strength and sensitivity can coexist without contradiction. The height of success. At the peak of his career, Stallone became one of the most recognized figures in the world. His films dominated box offices, and his influence shaped popular culture. Financial success followed, offering comfort that had once seemed impossible. Yet despite the wealth and recognition, Stallone remained connected to the mindset that built his career. He understood that success is temporary unless anchored in purpose. While enjoying the rewards of his hard work, he continued pushing himself creatively. Fame did not erase the memory of struggle. It informed his gratitude. Stallone often spoke about discipline, consistency, and humility as essential tools for longevity. He recognized that applause fades, but integrity endures. This awareness helped him navigate success without losing himself. Though he had achieved what many only dream of, he remained aware that life's challenges rarely disappear. They simply evolve. Facing a shifting industry, as the entertainment landscape changed in the 1990s, Stallone faced new challenges. Audience preferences shifted, and familiar formulas no longer guaranteed success. Films that once would have thrived struggled to find resonance. Critical reception grew harsher, and box office numbers declined. For Stallone, this period tested his identity beyond fame. He encountered the uncomfortable reality that relevance is never permanent. Rather than denying the shift, he reflected on his place within it. The experience forced him to reassess his creative direction and personal priorities. While setbacks can feel like failure, Stallone viewed them as reminders that growth requires humility. He understood that every career, like life itself, moves in cycles. This period of uncertainty became an opportunity for reflection rather than resignation. Instead of retreating, Stallone quietly prepared for reinvention, drawing strength from the same resilience that shaped his earliest years. Rediscovering purpose. Through reflection away from the spotlight, Stallone returned to what grounded him most: storytelling rooted in honesty. He revisited his experiences, both triumphant and painful, searching for meaning beyond external validation. Writing became a form of reflection, allowing him to reconnect with his original motivations. He recognized that age brought perspective, not limitation. Rather than competing with younger versions of himself, Stallone chose to honor growth. This mindset led him back to Rocky, not as a champion, but as a man confronting time, legacy, and purpose. By embracing vulnerability, he found renewed clarity. Stallone understood that reinvention does not mean erasing the past. It means integrating it. His willingness to explore aging with dignity resonated deeply. Through reflection, he rediscovered that the power of storytelling lies not in spectacle, but in truth shaped by lived experience, returning as Rocky Balboa. When Rocky Balboa premiered, it felt like a quiet conversation rather than a loud announcement. The film focused on reflection, resilience, and acceptance rather than victory alone. Stallone portrayed an older Rocky navigating grief, memory, and the desire to prove that purpose does not expire with age. The story mirrored Stallone's own journey, making the performance deeply personal. Audiences responded with warmth, recognizing authenticity rather than nostalgia. The film reminded viewers that life's most meaningful battles are internal. Stallone demonstrated that courage evolves over time, shifting from physical strength to emotional honesty. His return was not about reclaiming fame, but about honoring growth. Rocky Balboa reaffirmed that resilience does not diminish with age, it deepens. The film stood as a testament to persistence, showing that dignity, reflection, and humility can be just as powerful as youthful ambition. Lessons forged through experience. Stallone's life offers lessons that extend far beyond cinema. His journey illustrates that success is rarely linear. and that perseverance requires patience as much as effort. He teaches that setbacks do not erase worth, and that rejection often redirects purpose. Through discipline, honesty, and self-belief, he transformed adversity into opportunity. Stallone's resilience was not loud or dramatic, it was consistent. He chose to keep moving forward, even when progress felt invisible. His story encourages others to trust the process rather than the timeline. By embracing vulnerability alongside strength, he redefined what it means to endure. Stallone reminds us that persistence is not about stubbornness, but commitment. Each chapter of his life reflects the importance of self-respect, adaptability, and courage. These lessons resonate because they are rooted in experience rather than theory, making them universally relatable. Personal growth, beyond the screen, beyond his public career, Stallone's life reflects continual personal growth. He has spoken openly about learning from mistakes, embracing accountability, and prioritizing meaningful relationships. Over time, he developed a deeper understanding of balance between ambition and presence, work and reflection. His evolution demonstrates that strength includes self-awareness. Rather than clinging to past identities, Stallone allowed himself to change. This openness enriched his work and personal life alike. He recognized that growth does not require abandoning passion, but refining it. Stallone's journey shows that fulfillment comes from aligning purpose with values. His willingness to acknowledge vulnerability allowed him to connect with audiences on a deeper level. By continuing to learn, adapt, and reflect, he modeled lifelong resilience. His story proves that personal development is an ongoing process, shaped not by age, but by intention. Inspiring generations worldwide. For decades, Stallone's work has inspired people across cultures and backgrounds. His characters speak to universal experiences: doubt, hope, perseverance, and redemption. Audiences see themselves reflected not in perfection, but in effort. Stallone's influence extends beyond entertainment, motivating individuals to confront their own challenges with determination. His life story reinforces the idea that beginnings do not dictate endings. By sharing his journey openly, he normalized struggle and celebrated growth. Stallone's impact lies in authenticity rather than image. He reminds us that success is earned through consistency and courage. Generations continue to find strength in his example, not because he avoided failure, but because he endured it. His legacy is built on the belief that effort matters even when outcomes are uncertain. That message remains timeless, resonating wherever perseverance is needed. The enduring power of resilience. Resilience is a thread woven through every chapter of Stallone's life. It carried him through rejection, obscurity, and reinvention. Rather than viewing hardship as punishment, he treated it as preparation. His journey illustrates that resilience is not about ignoring pain, but learning from it. Stallone embraced challenges as teachers rather than obstacles. This mindset allowed him to grow without losing compassion. His story shows that endurance requires flexibility, the ability to adapt without surrendering core values. By remaining committed to authenticity, he built a career that reflects lived experience rather than illusion. Stallone's resilience serves as a reminder that strength evolves over time. It becomes quieter, wiser, and more grounded. Through patience and perseverance, he demonstrated that resilience is not a moment, it is a lifelong practice. A legacy built on authenticity. Stallone's legacy extends beyond awards or box office records. It lies in the authenticity he brought to his work and life. He never pretended to be flawless. Instead, he embraced imperfection as part of growth. His honesty allowed audiences to connect with him across decades. Stallone showed that legacy is shaped by values rather than visibility. By staying true to his voice, even when it was unpopular, he preserved integrity. His influence continues because it is rooted in sincerity. Stallone's story encourages others to define success on their own terms. He reminds us that recognition is fleeting, but character endures. Through persistence, humility, and courage, he built something lasting. His legacy is not defined by victory alone, but by the willingness to rise repeatedly, regardless of circumstance. A life that continues to inspire. Today, Sylvester Stallone stands as a living symbol of perseverance. His journey continues to inspire because it reflects real life, unpredictable, challenging, and deeply human. He reminds us that resilience is not reserved for heroes on screen, but available to anyone willing to keep going. Stallone's life teaches that purpose can be rediscovered at any stage, and that growth does not end with success. By embracing struggle rather than avoiding it, he transformed adversity into wisdom. His story encourages reflection, patience, and courage. Stallone's enduring relevance lies in his humanity. Through honesty, effort, and resilience, he continues to inspire those facing their own battles. His life proves that even when the path is uncertain, persistence can illuminate the way forward. One step, one choice, and one moment at a time.